thinking of investing in a short-term rental or vacation rental in Santa Fe? Well, Santa Fe is a beautiful tourist destination city with a thriving short-term rental market. So you may be making a great investment. But like many destination cities in the US these days, it also has some complex rules and regulations in place to protect the local full-time resident market. And you need to understand these rules before you buy. I'm going to walk you through the benefits, challenges, and legal requirements whether you're inside of the Santa Fe city limits or in Santa Fe County. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Living in Santa Fe. I'm Kenny Crowley, your local Santa Fe realtor and real estate resource. I've had many clients interested in investing in short-term rentals here in Santa Fe, and I've learned a lot in guiding them on their journey. Some of these clients now have very successful short-term rental investment properties here, and others were deterred by the process and the limitations of available inventory that can meet this criteria. So I just want to share what I've learned in my experiences with you here. If you're thinking about investing in real estate in Santa Fe, New Mexico, specifically short-term rentals like Airbnb or VRBO, today's video is a must-watch. And as always, if you're liking the content in these videos and want me to keep it coming, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Make sure to hit that notification bell to get all the updates on my new videos. So let's dive in. So what is a short-term rental in Santa Fe? Well, in Santa Fe, like a lot of markets, a short-term rental, often called an STR, is defined as a dwelling rented for less than 30 days. These include homes, casitas, ADUs or accessory dwelling units, condos and townhomes, and even rooms listed on platforms like Airbnb or VRBO or with a property manager. But before you invest in a property you can list on short-term rental sites, you must comply with all local city or county regulations, and these can be restrictive. We're going to explore the requirements of both the city and the county short-term rental permits. However, before getting to that point, the first thing we want to check out are the HOA rules or covenants and restrictions on any property of interest before even taking the time to view these properties. A lot of HOAs can restrict short-term rentals in their rules under 30 days altogether, and sometimes even if there is no HOA, there can be covenants and restrictions in place on certain neighborhoods or developments that also restrict short-term rentals, and you need to be in compliance here. This is where your local realtor or trusted advisor becomes a necessary resource in digging up these documents and details on each property, which is crucial in narrowing down your list of potential properties that would be even eligible for a permit before even getting to the city or county requirements. So let's talk about short-term rental permitting and registration in the city of Santa Fe, within the city limits. If your property is inside Santa Fe city limits, you're going to need both a business registration, a business license, and a short-term rental permit for all residentially zoned properties. Now, commercial properties are different, and that's another topic altogether. On residential properties, there's a cap of 1,000 STR permits citywide in residential zones. Only one permit per natural person will be issued for an individual, so business entities don't get around this. Short-term rental properties must comply with proximity and spacing rules as well. For example, a residential STR can't be within 50 feet of another permitted STR. You can apply a filter on the city GIS zoning map to show all current properties that have active permits. This way you can verify that a property you're considering is not right next to another one and therefore eligible. I've put the link to the city zoning map in the description below so you can check that out. Another requirement in the city is that you must be able to provide off-street parking, providing enough parking space for the amount of bedrooms in the rental. So, for example, one parking spot for a one-bedroom, two parking spots for a two-bedroom, etc. This limits the impact of parking on city streets for the neighborhoods. You also need to be able to list a local contact that's available 24/7 for complaints. Additionally, you need to notify all nearby neighbors when your permit is issued. Also, all listings must display your permit number in any advertising and any platforms like Airbnb, because they will remove any listings with invalid license numbers. There are annual fees for these permits and business licenses, which will also need to be renewed every year. And you're going to be responsible for city and state taxes, including the lodger's tax and the New Mexico gross receipts tax. Short-term rental permits issued by the city do not transfer with the sale of a property. So don't be fooled by property listings that say they already have a short-term rental permit in place. This simply means that the property is promising as a short-term rental since it has already been approved for a permit. You know it meets the requirements, and hopefully the seller has some rental income performance numbers that they're willing to share, so you can get a sense of what you're investing in. You will still have to apply for a new permit for the property, which can only be done once the property is fully purchased and you have the deed in your name or your company's name. So during your due diligence period while you are under contract on the purchase, you can really only confirm that the property meets all eligibility requirements. You will unfortunately not be able to confirm that the property will definitely be able to get a short-term rental permit until you actually own the property, have the deed in hand, and can officially apply for the permit. When applying for a permit, you may have to be put on a wait list since there are again only 1,000 total permits available in the city. However, new permits do become available pretty cyclically since permits don't transfer with the sale and thus become available. And also the occasional owner will forget to renew their permit annually, which additionally opens up available permits. Another big update on getting a short-term rental permit within the city limits is that as of right now, the time of this video, December 2025, the city is actually not accepting any new permit applications until at least April of 2026. They're apparently switching systems and processes for applications and therefore not accepting any new applications until the new systems are dialed in. And then of course in the spring of 2026, that whole process and the requirements for a permit could change again once the new system is implemented. So it's kind of always a moving target, so make sure you are doing thorough research and that you have a trustworthy local resource to keep you up to speed on all current happenings. In a nutshell, it's probably not a great time to be looking at a short-term rental investment within the city limits until late spring of 26, since they're not accepting any new applications. Unless you're potentially looking at commercial properties, which again have different zoning rules and may be more viable. I've included links to all information on city short-term rentals in the description below, as well as the contact information for the Supervisor of Code Enforcement, Zoning, Short-Term Rentals, and Business Licensing. So you can contact them directly with any questions. Now let's talk about Santa Fe County outside the city limits. Santa Fe County is large, so you do have a much wider variety of options here. And there are even some locations that are technically county, but that are actually very close to the city, being just outside the city limits. If your property happens to be in the unincorporated Santa Fe County, you are covered by the county short-term rental ordinance, requiring still licensing and registration, but a little less restrictive than the city. There are different processes for owner-occupied rentals versus non-owner-occupied short-term rentals, and these have varying fees. The county requires those same basic rules around a $375 business registrations or license, a local contact, occupancy and parking compliance, advertising your license number, and also yearly renewal and compliance fees. When applying for a permit in the county, you'll need to provide a site plan, a floor plan highlighting the short-term rental area that's going to be used, a current water meter reading and any water restrictions, a current deed and survey plat, proof of property taxes paid, a fire self-certification form, and a state tax ID number, which you'll need to apply with the state to get. Now, if all requirements are met here, the county does offer a lot more permits than the city, since they base the number of permits on specific zoning areas, and the housing density within those areas determines how many permits they're going to allow for a given area. So check with the county zoning office for the number of allowable short-term rental permits available in any given area where your property of interest may be located, and check out how many permits are currently active out of the available number to find out if your property is going to be eligible. Now, there was a temporary moratorium on all new non-owner occupied licenses in the county in 2023 in order to study housing impacts of the short-term rentals, but that moratorium was lifted in February of 2024 with an addendum to the county ordinance. So if you're reading the county ordinance, you may see that moratorium in there and it may concern you, but there has been an addendum to that ordinance in 2024 which lifted the moratorium, and new non-owner occupied permit applications are being accepted again. And again, I've put a link for all Santa Fe County short-term rental information in the description below, as well as contact information for the county short-term info and applications department. It can be found at that link as well. So the bottom line is, no matter city or county, you can't legally operate without proper registration or licenses in residential zones. Both jurisdictions require compliance with safety, nuisance, and taxation rules before you can open your doors. Research and compliance is going to be key in having a successful investment if this is your goal. What are some of the benefits of investing in short-term rentals in Santa Fe? And why invest at all in these? Santa Fe, of course, has a high tourism demand. It's a year-round destination with art, culture, history, outdoor activities, and festivals that attract visitors constantly. Another reason is premium nightly rates. Short-term rentals often generate more income per night than long-term leases do. Additionally, you have flexibility where you can block off dates for personal use or seasonal pricing adjustments. A short-term rental property is always great for your portfolio diversification, and it can balance risk compared to some traditional rentals. In some cases, if you operate efficiently and market well, you can see very strong cash flow in short-term rentals, especially around peak seasons like summer and holidays. If you're in love with a property that is not eligible for short-term rentals based on HOA restrictions or permitting challenges, you may also consider a midterm rental option that will allow rentals 30 days plus. So with this option, you can rent a furnished place to tenants for 1 to 6 months. This is a viable option in Santa Fe since there's a sizable market here for folks who visit seasonally or for a month or a few months at a time. Additionally, with multiple hospitals here, there is also a market for traveling nurses who have a housing stipend. So midterm housing is perfect for marketing to them. So investing in a midterm rental property within proximity of hospitals here could also be worth your while. What are some of the challenges and risks of a short-term rental investment as we've been going through? Well, number one is regulatory caps and limits. Santa Fe City's cap on residential permits means that you could lose the opportunity or be waitlisted for a permit if all 1,000 permits are issued. Secondly, there are strict rules and enforcement on spacing, occupancy, parking, noise, and reporting. And these add complexity that you won't find everywhere, but they are put in place to protect the local housing environment, which is important. Number three is there is heavy compliance requirements and record keeping, neighbor notifications, safety inspections, and tax filings, which all take time. And non-compliance can mean that fines are issued or a license is lost. Additionally, there's some housing market controversy with short-term rentals. There's local pushbacks around them, contributing to housing shortages or price pressures, meaning future regulations could get tighter, and we have seen that happen in the past few years. And also you have management responsibilities. You need a trustworthy local manager or the ability to respond quickly to guests and issues. If you're not a local, this adds costs and coordination and potentially property management costs. So, is Santa Fe a good short-term rental investment? Yes, very much so, if you understand and budget for the permitting processes, taxes, and compliance. If you buy a property that is eligible under the short-term rental regulations, and if you have a scalable management strategy. You need to be careful though, because permits aren't guaranteed and can be capped. Regulations can change, especially with affordable housing pressure, which is definitely happening here in Santa Fe. Bookings and income projections must account for fees and seasonal fluctuations. So a pro tip is always check your zoning, your regulatory limits, HOA rules and covenants and restrictions, local short-term rental maps before you buy, and consult a local attorney or a city planner if you're unsure, just to completely verify. So that's all I've got for you on this topic for now. Short-term rentals here in Santa Fe are always kind of a moving target. It's great to have a local resource that you can trust. I thank you for watching, and I hope this video was valuable and informative to you. And if you're thinking about buying a short-term rental or any investment in Santa Fe, I hope this gave you a clear picture of both the opportunity and the realities of the situation. Please hit the like button if this information helped you, subscribe to my channel for more real estate insights, and drop your questions in the comments below. I'd be glad to help you dig deeper. So until next time, happy holidays and happy investing.